This is Life, and I'll be your concierge. Today, we are very honored to have a very special guest in the studio. Thank you so much for coming today, Zoe Brown.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You look so dapper.
Thank you so much. So do you. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My producer wanted me to say the never frown with Zoe Brown. Is that like a tagline of yours?
I think that was conceptualized when I first came onto the media scene and I feel someone had to say something.
Okay.
And that kind of stuck around. But I mean, I suppose I'm always smiling and it rhymes, so it works.
It does. It does really work. And you recently got married, correctly?
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh,
Okay. And you kept your surname? Brown?
I'm Zoe Brown.
Yeah.
On paper, my surname has changed.
Okay.
I didn't want the future kids to be like, why is mom's surname different to dad's surname? So I'll professionally stay Zoe Brown.
I guess it wouldn't have had as nice a ring to it, like never frown with Zoe Anderson. You have to work on a new...
We'll have to change that phrase
Right?
completely. Yeah.
And you never went with a hyphenated thing, because a lot of people are doing like Zoe Brown Anderson or...
I tried to drop my second name and make Brown my second name when I went to Home Affairs to
Yes.
now change my ID and passport. And that's quite a process. It's not as simple as just filling out the form saying, okay, I no longer want Patricia as my middle name. I now want Brown as my middle name. There's a whole application process that can take 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
So parents think twice of what you name your child because they can't go and just change it.
I didn't know it was that hectic. It's that
It
intense to change your
is.
name at Home Affairs.
It is. It's quite a process. So firstly, I can't believe I'm telling you this, but it's a case of I now had to get an ID to prove I'm now Zoe Anderson. And then you have to reapply to change your name. Then you have to reapply to then get a new ID and passport. So it's just, they just keep inviting you back to Home Affairs.
It's almost as if they don't want you to get married. I mean, these are like...
They make it so
should be
difficult.
such a simple thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And I also feel like if it's your first marriage, you should get it for free.
Yes.
Because now every time you go to Home Affairs to pick up a new ID, a new passport, just because you got married, you have to pay for it.
Yeah. I'm taking a breath because I'm just thinking about, like, obviously we're living in a society where a lot of people already are like putting marriage on the back foot. Like, you know, like marriage has become like I think everybody wants to focus on their goals first, kind of like get to a certain stage in life and then get married.
Yeah.
And then you find out that also beyond all of that psychological things going on, when you get to the actual thing of Home Affairs and all of that, there's more obstacles along the line. That sucks kind of.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like to the partner whose name needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So Zoe Brown, media personality, radio host, TV presenter, actress.
I've tried my hand at acting.
Have you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a movie come out in 2023. Yeah.
Nice.
Skaapboer, it was Afrikaans production, and it was a really cool experience. I got to play a wife.
Nice.
But it was for me, I think what was really cool was being able to share the screen with people who I watched growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, Brumelda.
Legend.
Yes, she's an
Yeah.
absolute legend. Also to have so many of the Sevendelaan actors and actresses be part of that film. It was so special to see the whole project come together and see the final product. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience. I mean, you would know about filming out of sequence and
Yeah.
having to know your character and having to know what mindset they're in
Yes.
which scene. So that took me by surprise. I thought
Yeah.
you would film everything.
In chronological order.
Yes.
It's quite unnerving, hey? Because you have
is.
to like always like emotionally place yourself. Like, where was I in this moment 3 weeks ago if I'm shooting something that hasn't happened or has happened already? It's quite hectic. What type of training did you do leading up to Skaapboer?
I didn't do any training.
Yeah.
I think the director, he really enjoyed the fact that I had no experience, but I was
Sweet.
willing to learn. So he enjoyed the fact that he could mold me.
Yes.
And I think, I did the character justice. I really eventually got to enjoy the character. In a way, she was a lot similar to me, an independent, fierce individual who loves her husband, who eventually became a mom. And she still had that burning desire in herself to hold on to her own identity. She didn't want to just be a mom and a wife.
And that's kind of where you're at right now.
Yeah.
In a way, without the kids.
Without the kids.
Plans for?
Yes, we are open to it.
Okay,
So
nice.
we will wait for that time. We've just got too many adventures happening right now.
Yes.
And I feel like one adventure at a time is good.
While we're on the topic of adventures, I think you know where I'm going with this. Not a lot of people, if any, know that you're about to relocate.
Yes.
Tell us more about that. Where are you off to? You and the hubby.
My husband got a really cool work opportunity in Sydney, Australia. So the moving truck has already collected all the things we have shipping. We'll be shipping across, and come middle June, we will be on that flight, and we're embarking on a fun new adventure. We decided we are young, we don't have kids yet, we don't have too much tying us down to South Africa yet, so it is for us a no-brainer. He's got a permanent residency visa, so it is also a very short journey to citizenship. I think for us it will just... I've always wanted to live abroad. I've always wanted that opportunity, and it's quite cool that we now get to do it together.
That's big days. That's very exciting
Yeah.
and daunting. Are you nervous about the change, or?
I'm excited for the change. I think in a way, a friend actually summed it up really well. She said it's like you fresh out of university, but this time around you've got life experience, you've got money, and you've got a better understanding of the world.
Yeah.
But I'll be entering into a new job market. I'll be figuring out what it is that I like, what I don't like. And I think what makes Australians very different to South Africans is they don't really attach their identity to their job. So if you're in a position you don't like it 6 months in, you can change.
Yeah.
It's not frowned upon to hop around in the workspace.
Damn. That's cool, Zoe. Let's cheers to that. As long as you're not a Wallaby supporter in a couple of months. Then
No. I'm keeping with my Bokro.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the
Then I
first
can
thing that got
cheers you.
packed. There we go. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big adjustment.
It's huge. What an adventure. I mean, from KZN, right? That was where you were born. What was your family like? Family life like growing up? Because a lot of people, when I speak to them about, I'm saying I'm about to interview Zoe Brown, the consensus around there is like South Africa's sweetheart. I got that a few times. So it's giving that you had like a very good childhood, like, is that true? What was it like?
I had, I think in the sense of a South African childhood, a very beautiful one. Big family. So with that, I mean, I've got an older brother, younger sister, mom and dad. They are still married, which I know is quite a blessing.
Yeah.
They are celebrating 37 years this year. And I need to do the maths.
It's a lot.
Same year my brother, yeah.
It's as long as I've been on the planet.
Yeah.
Since 86.
86.
Yeah, they got married
They
then.
got married 87. 87, yeah.
Okay.
So they turning
Maybe I'm
30.
younger than I give myself. Yeah, I'll claim that one.
But also, my parents both come from big families. So I had a lot of cousins. And on my dad's side of the family, we were all about 6 months apart in age. And there were 7 of us that were very close in age.
Mm-hmm.
So we would, every second weekend, our family would go to Ceres, where majority of my parents' family lives. And we spent a lot of good, wholesome time with our cousins. I'm talking about riding your bicycle throughout the whole of Ceres and being able to walk around and feel completely safe. We got to be children, climb trees, go swim at Dennerbos. We did everything, from being out in the mountains to go hiking with my dad. I think that's something I hope one day my kids will get to experience.
Yeah.
If not with cousins, but with friends, but enjoying the outdoors, enjoying everything South Africa has to offer, because it is a beautiful country.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Ceres is very much of a rural space, right? It's a lot of farms, a lot of, I guess, oranges and fruits and apples.
All the fruits.
So is that how you foresee yourself living, potentially or hopefully on open land, farm life, or you're more of a city person?
I think as much as I love the idea of slowing down and, I think I've naturally got that hustle in me.
Mm.
I don't think I want to be a big fish in a small pond. So staying in a bigger city will always give you that one thing that you can chase towards, something you can always work towards. For me, that's important. I think you never need to, you should never stop learning. You should never stop trying to improve yourself. And I think if you reach that stage, oh, I've made it, I feel like that's when you fail.
Yeah, complacency.
Yeah.
You can't rest on your laurels. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the world's changing so fast. I mean, I feel like I missed the bandwagon completely with TikTok.
It's tricky though.
It is.
Because it's like, I try to make that shift over to TikTok and it's just a whole other generation.
You know what it also is you need to spend a lot of time on that app. And I feel like I've tried to put some boundaries in place with how much time I spend on my phone.
Yeah.
And because I don't spend enough time on TikTok, I'll never be able to play catch up. So it's a platform I tried to join but didn't succeed in.
Fair enough. And your husband, like, how is he? Because I mean, you have obviously gone and dated outside of the industry, which I always say that's a good thing. You know, is that something that you purposefully chose when you met him, to kind of not go for somebody who's per se a presenter or someone in entertainment? You went for somebody that has like a very straight-laced, professional, high-end job. Was that a decision that you made?
I don't know if it's much of a decision I made. I mean, you probably don't know this, but he's known me since I was 13 years old. We were in the same high school. He was a year above me academically. So he's seen Zoe grow up. He's, you know, we have so much in common. We both had high school in Durban. We have so many mutual friends. We have so many mutual stories of places that's, you know, that's weaved into our childhood. And I think something I did realize was whenever I dated someone new, I always had to prove myself that I'm not the girl on TV. I'm not high maintenance. I'm very easygoing, and that's exhausting. Yeah. And when we started dating, it was just so easy because I didn't have to prove that I'm just an ordinary girl.
That's so interesting because, somebody needs to know you before the public figure so that they understand who you actually are to your core. Yeah, that's quite fascinating because, I mean, also for guys, I can see why the guys would be intimidated though. Like, especially for a guy that's kind of out of the industry and he just sees like this beautiful person on TV every day. There's like a kind of barrier that you need to cross before you can step into the core of someone to actually know who they are. So I kind of like, I feel for guys and this kind of brings me also to the question of like the dating market and stuff. Like, how was it, like dating? How often were you going on a lot of dates before you found your man that you knew since you were 13?
Funny enough, not. I only had my first boyfriend when I was in university, and I took a gap year. So I went to varsity a lot later than my peers. Yeah. So when I turned 21, all of my peers were turning 19. They were fresh out of high school and I had 2 years of a gap year. I had my first boyfriend probably when I turned 22. Okay. And unfortunately, that one didn't end well. And I think because of how that one ended, I had walls up. Yeah. And I had a bad dating history. I think you put the walls up, and for some guys, that's a challenge to see if they can break the wall down. Yeah. And then, I don't know, I suppose the only way I can make sense of it was more of a game for them to see if they could get the walls down, but they weren't really interested in what was behind the walls. Yeah. But yeah, it was a challenge. I've had some interesting dating stories. Yeah, I can imagine. Because I find it so interesting, the looking out now. Obviously, you're so like settled, content and happy, which is beautiful. But like, people out there are struggling, I think, to like, you know, the people that have the goal of wanting to be a wife, a husband, and actually find someone that they could spend their life with. And most people, the dating pool out there, I think we're living in a time where things are instant. Yeah, it's like instant gratification.
yeah, it's like we want to move on quickly. It's just like find someone next. You're never really satisfied. And I think a lot of society, like, I mean, even with social media and everything, is just kind of packing on that. You know, when you open up your phone, you see a new ass. Or like if you open with girls, with looking at like there's someone better around the corner. Like I feel bad for people out there that's actually looking for sustainable and substance in this day and age.
Well, you definitely won't find it on Instagram.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a partner on Instagram, there are different apps for that.
So you never did the like the swipe left and right thing, did you?
Okay. I joined Tinder and
Did
I
you?
joined
Okay.
Hinge. And the funny thing was, I had someone message me to be like, Zoe, someone's pretending to be you on Tinder. And as I was about to reply and be like, no, that's my profile, he said to me, yeah, just reading the bio doesn't look like that would be you. And I was too embarrassed to tell the person, well, it actually is me. So he reported my profile.
And you took it off after that?
No,
Like
I could prove it was me, but I
Yes.
didn't have to prove it to that individual.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was like, I thought I had a cool bio. If you know music, you would understand where I was coming from. So I said, I don't agree with the Buggles song, you know, video killed the radio star.
yes,
for someone that works on TV and radio.
Yeah.
That
Made sense.
It made sense.
Yeah.
So if you got that, you got the hint.
Yeah, I think
but
it's great.
that person thought it was a stupid bio and decided to report my profile.
They're like, this is cheesy. My Zoe would never do something like this. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
and you did Hinge as well?
I did do Hinge. I encourage every single individual to rather try Hinge over
100%.
Tinder.
Yeah.
Something I think if you are in the dating market, be very specific with what you are looking for. I had my hard nose. For me, a big thing was, if you said you were an atheist, I could not swipe for you. I need a partner that believes in something. You don't have to believe in Christianity. Whether you said you were Muslim, Jewish, whatever religion you were interested in, if you chose that, I was open to it. But if you said atheist, you deliberately choosing not to believe in anything. And for me, that was a hard no.
Yeah.
I'm not a smoker, so I tend to not swipe for people that are smokers. And naturally, I'm open to wanting to have children one day, so I never swipe for anyone that said do not want kids, because that's the nice thing with Hinge. You could put all those small details on your profile, and it's
Kind of
up to
narrows the market down.
and it also is up to the individual to decide, do I want to swipe for someone that smokes or not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because you're right. Hinge is just like, I think it's like a lot more cleaner. I think what's that other one called? Tinder is a little bit more messy, I found. I had it for like a few weeks and I just couldn't keep up.
I think what I couldn't wrap my head around with Tinder was, because I was in the dating pool, I didn't want someone to judge me just on my looks. Tinder is just that.
Of course.
You just have pictures to decide whether you're going to swipe yes or no.
Yeah.
Whereas with Hinge, you could add a bit of your own sense of humor.
Yeah.
You could, based on your captions or based on the photos you decided to put with each caption, that gave you an in to someone's sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think guys in general are very visually driven. So I think from a female's perspective, what type of tips would you give a guy that is trying to bridge that, not look at someone just based off what they look like, but actually, I guess, take the time to cross over into, get behind that wall and find out who that person is? Do you think it's like because it's tricky out there. Like sometimes I feel like there's a lot of I feel like in society, guys and girls have been put up against each other right now. I don't know if you see that as well, where it's like, guys on shit, and then the guys also like going like, yeah, women are like this, they just like gold diggers, they that. I feel like men and women are being put up against each other in society, and I feel for both sides, because I don't think if you look at like where we are at for the first time, and I'm not coming up for like why dudes are behaving the way they are, but I kind of am, is why, like, this is the first generation, I feel like, or in the last few decades, that guys now have kind of lost their position or are losing their position as more the patriarchal society, for example, and they have to like kind of quickly shift and like catch up, Whereas before, I think guys had like this very much man of the house thing. The guy was the provider and all of this. And now I feel like guys are confused. They don't know how to be.
Because for the longest time, the world was always in favor of the guy.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about it, you know, the way your job works, women are notoriously underpaid in comparison to their men counterparts.
Yeah.
And there was a study that showed that true equality will only really happen in the year 2058, where women and men will earn the same, which means my children won't probably experience that, but my grandchildren will. But I think what I wanted to get back to is, I think a lot of people, or at least I found this to work for me. I had to go to therapy. I had to work on myself. I had to figure out what it is that I want and what I don't want out of life. And I think when you meet someone that's also very sure of who they are, what they want out of life, what they stand for, I think it's very easy to align yourself with them. I think it gets messy when individuals don't know what they want. I think it gets messy when individuals, I mean, for me, physical attraction is a major part in it.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't allow some people the benefit of the doubt, if you sometimes, you know, that person might surprise you. They might not be the initial 10 out of 10 you were looking for, but they become the 10 out of 10 once you fall in love with their personality.
Yeah.
So I think we're so quick to rush into things. We are very quick to judge an individual. But I think it's also because a lot of us are still confused with what we want out of life.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And also, like, just also back to the thing about men and women, right? Like, obviously, that is true for men. And for women, do you feel like women naturally also want to be taken care of by a man? Like, I think it's changing a lot. I might be pushing buttons here, but like, women have a natural instinct to want to kind of be taken care of. Men has the natural instinct to want to be the provider. And now, obviously, roles are slowly shifting. You said it's going to probably be fully shifted in 2058, right? Yeah. But you see where I'm going with this. Like, there's a little bit of like a confusion happening right now, because I mean, I even read recently the stats is that more single women right now are out earning single men. Like, single women right now, as it is today in today's society, actually have more finances than single men. So I think it's changing faster than we realize. Maybe like the full on bridge will be gapped in what do you call it, in 2058. But for now, you know what I mean?
I hear you. I think, I mean, what's wrong with a woman earning more than a man? That I think it comes down to, why does that make a guy feel uncomfortable?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's more about the confusion that we are in right now, as like what we were taught. Always man is supposed to be this, but it's actually not the case anymore.
No.
I'm not saying anything's wrong with women out earning men. It's actually it's good to see the change happening.
But also, today's daughters are being raised. You can be anything you want to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's up to those guys that feel uncomfortable and they're not comfortable dating someone that's potentially earning more than them. They have a lot of work to do and a lot to figure out.
It's like, I agree with that, right? But I see more on like social media, there's more of a tendency, again, just going back to society right now. If a man is not earning a certain amount, he's more likely to be bashed because he's earning less than the woman. You know what I mean? Whereas like, if a woman is not making as much as a man, it's kind of okay. It's like when I see couples, for example, where the man is earning way less than the wife, right? Which, again, I'm fine with all of this. But he would be made fun of by his friends. Did your wife say you can come out today? You know you have a curfew. You know who wears the pants in the house. You know you have to be home at a certain time, because they know that his wife makes way more than him. So you know where I'm going with this? Like, society kind of, and then even women would be like, he's a scrub, he's a good for nothing, he doesn't earn as much as his wife. That happens a lot. But whereas like I find, and what just by virtue of my observation, is that if a man kind of, which has been happening, out earns a woman, it's like kind of like just, it's normal. You know, man is like, baby, come, this is our house. I bought this house. But I think like girls, like with the new like culture of like baddie, boss ass bitch, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is my house. And like you can, girls like with that culture right now, girls will kind of put it in a guy's face of like, don't forget who bought this house. You know what I mean? Just because it's like culture is shifting very fast in front of us, and the power plays and power dynamics I feel is a real thing, and I feel like it needs to be addressed so that it's not just one over the other, men versus women, because we need each other. And I feel like it's being played very much against each other in today's culture, where we're just gonna be like, fuck you too, I don't need you too. You know,
I don't know how to answer you now.
but you know what I'm saying though? I mean, this is a debate. I'm not
it is. Yeah, no, it is a debate. I hear where you're coming from, but I don't fully agree.
Tell me why.
Lieve ma, jy is my beste maatjie. Jy is die snaakste mens wat ek ken in die hele wêreld. Maar jy is so sleg met wegkrappetjies speel. Jy maak die heel beste brownies. Ek smal oor wanneer ons gaan fietsry. Wanneer ek ouer word, wil ek mooi wees soos jy. Geluk by ma se verjaarsdag.
I think if we're painting that scenario of women earning more than men, you do get some guys that are okay with that, but it didn't happen naturally because they didn't have friends saying, oh my word, you're less of a man because you're not earning more than her. I think it also speaks to who you surround yourself with and potentially how you were raised. It's difficult for someone that was raised in a traditional household where man must be the worker, woman must stay at home. That happens. And if that man or that son finds himself in a relationship where the girl is more driven, he will always struggle because, you know, how you grew up plays a big role in who you become and who you choose to become and how you handle certain situations. But it's a tough one. I think
it is tough. I think we all need, like you said, you put the time and effort in yourself for therapy and all of this. We need a shitload of therapy before actually choosing a partner so that we walk into this like cleansed of all of this trauma responses that we have. You know what I mean?
But can I tell you, for me, it was never about the fanciest date or the biggest gift I could have been given. For me, it was always the thoughtfulness that really hit home.
Yeah.
I would take a picnic basket, driving on Chapman's Peak at sunset any day over a fancy dinner at Swallow.
Yeah. But don't you think, Zoe Brown, that you are, like, I mean, you're salt of the earth type of human being. There's not a lot of Zoe Browns out there. Like, if you really look around you in today's culture and society and on Instagram and what girls are showing that they want, it's hard.
It is hard.
Can you agree with me on that?
I'll agree with you on that.
Because girls are out there, they posting, it's not just, they don't want that Michael Kors anymore. It's like, we want LV, baby. We want LV, we want Fendi, we want Balmain. And if you can't give it to me, I'll find the next guy that can give it to me. That agenda is also being pushed out there quite a lot. So, which kind of makes me feel tough. Like, it makes me feel for young men out there. I'm not like, I'm on both sides. I'm trying to be diplomatic, but I'm also trying to stand up for men out there. Stay toxic kings. Don't stay toxic kings. I'm joking. You know, but you see, like, it's tough. We're pushing out, like, guys on the one side is pushing, like, men agendas of, like, you know, just hit it and quit it, move on, get as many goals as you want. Girls out there is like, girl, if he's not buying you this, boy, bye. Like,
I feel like we're living in two different worlds.
Me and you.
Yeah.
You haven't seen any of this.
Well, I suppose I avoid those types of people, but I'm aware of it. Yeah. I am well aware of it, but I've always been.
But that's what I'm saying. Not everyone is Zoe Brown.
I'm well aware of it because my thing was always, this has always been my approach. I don't need you to buy me nice things. I can buy my own nice things.
Yeah.
And in fact, if
I see that about
if
you. If
that person has to buy me something nice, it would actually make me feel more uncomfortable.
Yes, but you come from a good home.
But you do get women that is a draw card. Like
Yeah.
they want the Louis Vuitton shares.
And don't you think it's more than not lately?
I do. And I think that's a very Instagrammable way of living your life. They only want to do that to show off. I mean, for me, it's just like how much substance is really then in your relationship.
True.
Yeah.
Facts. Cheers, Zoe Brown.
Jeez, that was heated.
We like heated over here.
And the fireplace is not even on.
You'll be back in winter when we have the
I'm gonna gulp
fireplace
this
up
whole
and running.
glass down after that chat.
Yeah, good. So, where do we go to from here? More.
Somewhere lighter, please.
Do you want lighter? So you have 2 cats, Zoe Brown. Tell me about navy and blue. Navy blue. Is it blue and navy?
Blue and navy and blue, yeah. Oh gosh, no, they're sweet. They are coming with us to Australia.
Sweet.
They are coming with. They are, gosh, costing us a lot of money. But they are coming with. Their process is a little bit more delayed because it's a case of applying for permits and getting blood results and having sure all the paperwork's in place and applying for quarantine. So
Sure.
we will leave and they'll stay in a cattery until they're allowed to fly. And then our fur babies will hopefully by the end of the year make their way across.
How long did that whole process take? Like all the checks and all of that? Because Australia especially is very difficult with bringing anything into their country, let alone new animals.
We even in our container that we sent across had a box just for shoes, and you had to put that in the front of your container because they need to inspect to make sure there's no soil or grass or anything coming into the country. With the pets, it was also quite tedious. They had to have rabies. They had to be up to date with all of their vaccinations, but then also have a antibody test for rabies done called a Titra test. And that took about 2 months to get the results.
Wow.
And then the process starts to apply for animal permits and then quarantine. And then once they have that position, then they can fly. So it's a lot of paperwork, but it helps that we are making use of agents that can actually do these things.
Have you always been a cat person? Like
Funny enough, I've always loved dogs. My lifestyle just
I was going to
never...
say, like, I've just never latched onto cats. I just find them so not loyal.
Oh, no.
It's like a cat won't care if you die.
No, they don't have loyalty, which I quite appreciate. You know, they're not people pleasers. Dogs are people pleasers. You can take a lot from a cat.
Yeah.
They don't care. And sometimes for someone like myself that cares a lot, you can take a page from their book. I've become a cat person since adopting my first cat, and they do creep into your heart. They're really special. But yeah, I think I was naturally a dog person, but my lifestyle didn't allow for it. Whereas a cat is easy. A cat you can leave alone for a night and go away and come back.
Kind of takes care of himself.
They sleep 90% of their day away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the 10% that they're awake, they're like, yeah, whatever.
Wow.
They're easy.
I don't know. Like, I've thought about it before. Like, would I get a cat? And I just don't think, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I just put a deposit down on a dog, which I'm very excited about.
You buying a dog?
I'm buying a dog, and I haven't had one in a while.
I don't know about people putting deposits down on a dog.
Yeah.
What dog are you getting?
Listen, the anti this and that is gonna hate me because it's a bred dog, which I've found out is not really like, people are like, why don't you go and rescue one? Go get a rescue.
Listen, I'm not judging you.
Yeah.
I get it. If some people have a preference to a dog they like, by all means. But wow, what dog are you getting?
American Bully.
They are special.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. But like, I know that it's probably better to get, but you're not gonna get an American Bully out on a rescue market. I don't feel like, So she should be coming in September. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll also have a fur baby.
A fur baby.
Yeah.
Will this be your first fur baby?
You know what? I've had fur babies in previous relationships. It usually like takes me like kind of dating someone to like kind of become stepdad to their fur babies, and if by virtue of that it feels like it's mine.
Okay.
But this is gonna be my first one. In like 12 years.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, let's do
No,
it.
it's special.
Yeah.
Just make sure in the divorce you keep your own fur baby.
I'll put that in the paperwork. Yeah. No, the next one's going to be a Zoe Brown story. Like this one I'm
Oh.
taking straight to the altar.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah, radio or firstly, you were on radio for a number of years, right? Like what prompted the move, or what prompted you leaving the station? Because you became like a staple for the South African audience.
Oh.
Everybody got used to you so much. We loved you.
I loved working with Wasty every single day. For me, it was more of it became a personal decision in the sense that I wanted to do more. And when your schedule is so jam-packed full from 4 o'clock in the morning till 7 p.m. at night, there's no wiggle room for more. I had to look at my life and be like, okay, well, I need to make some changes. In the mornings on TV, I have a little bit more flexibility, whereas in the afternoons, I did not have that same luxury.
Yeah.
Because radio, what makes it extra special is every single day when you jump in your car, you know who's going to be on air. You have your favorite features happening more or less at the same time. There's that consistency that a lot of listeners, they need that in their life.
Yeah.
And I started getting a lot of opportunities that required me to be away from the radio station. And it was very difficult to get leave. So I would take leave to go do these really cool opportunities. And then come December, I had no leave and I had to work on Christmas Day.
Hectic.
And then you burned out because all your leave got used to work, never to replenish your own energy. And for me, it was just simple maths of weighing up the options of the pros and the cons, the amount of times I had to say yes compared to the amount of times I have to say no.
Yeah.
And that was the decision I had to make, was if I want to do more and have different experiences, I have to say goodbye to radio. So I miss Wasty every day.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for new challenges.
Do you think, was it like a balance sheet thing, like all the opportunities you were missing out on because of this one thing? Because
I think a lot of opportunities came about. And it was more me wanting to say yes to more TV work and more of those types of work opportunities that prompted if I step away from this, I can go do that.
Yes. It's kind of with me with like telenovelas, for example, or like local South African TV shows. I choose not to do it because once I sign up with them, they own me, and then I'm on a global, and whenever they call, I need to go, which kind of
limits you.
It limits me, and it takes me out of the market for everything else I'd like to actually do.
Yeah.
And I lose out on a lot of money that I would have otherwise been making if I was doing everything. So I do get it.
It is a calculated risk. But if I think about it now, I mean, I left radio last year, end of June. For me, I think in a way, without even realizing it, I was untangling myself so that when this opportunity came for us to move to Sydney came about, it was easy to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how many hours of sleep were you on? Because at the time you were doing both the radio and you were doing the morning live TV. So you must have been averaging like 3-4 hours a night.
No,
if you had a nightlife. More than that at least?
I didn't have much of a balance with a nightlife.
Okay.
I would, 6 hours, 6-7 hours. I was lucky if I got 7, but pretty much 6 hours.
That's not bad at all. So you're not the type of person to like finish your working day and then go out to have dinner with friends or go to the bar, the pub. You're not
dinner,
that type of...
Yes. Bars, no. I can't even remember the last time I was in a nightclub.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good. You're not missing out. I was there recently. We're not missing out.
Oh gosh. There are a lot of kids now and
it's
it just
too
makes
much.
you feel too old.
Yes. I'm starting to feel like that uncle that I used to look at to be like, bruh, why are you here?
You don't look it.
Thank you, but I'm feeling it, which means that I'm almost to the point of looking it. Because it always starts from within.
I hear you.
You know
I
what I
hear
mean?
you.
So yeah, okay. So live TV, how daunting was that when you started? Because there's no cut and let's go again.
No.
Especially it was the morning show, right? Like you guys are like broadcasting to all of South Africa, live, like that would send any normal person into like a panic attack. How was that like at first?
I think for me, so just to give you context, so I did present a search on 3. That's how I won my position on Expresso. And the show, they announced me as the winner the Friday night, and that Monday was my first day at my new job.
Damn. So you won presenter search straight into morning.
So that's how I did it. So for me, that weekend was dreadful. I could not sleep. I was worried because now I'm joining a cast at the time of established TV presenters.
Yeah.
They all had their own thing going. They all have their own unique personalities. And I still remember having this little pep talk with myself, like, you'll be fine. Just be yourself. It will work out.
Yeah.
And I remember going on, I think I had a bit of a soft launch, so that helped. And coming from a radio background, that helped as well. But I had so many bloopers. And I think even to this day, you just own those bloopers. And that's kind of what made me on the show.
Yeah.
I never tried to be perfect. I never tried to be a presenter.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably my saving grace.
I mean, you did a very good job, because when you started on the scene, I recall you stepping into that space, seeing you on TV, and it was like an effortless kind of, it's almost like you've been there all along and you just kind of slotted in with the family, and it was great. And you're such a natural at it. That's why I really hope that when you go to Australia, you keep doing more of that.
Oh, I'm open to it. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I think, I think an approach I've always had was, even in university, when I studied international relations, and my mom asked me, what do you become when you study this? And I told her, you don't become anything. You just prepare yourself. Like you learn skills. And she couldn't wrap her mind around it. In her mind, you do teaching to become a teacher. You do accounting to become an accountant. You study medicine to become a doctor. And now I'm going to go study international relations and not become anything. And I said to her, I'm preparing myself for something that doesn't exist. And I think everything I did on campus radio and even the graveyard shift at KFM at the time, that prepared me for the role of being able to step into Expresso and at least feel confident to, you just need to know a little bit about everything.
Yeah. I mean, I get it though. I get where our parents are coming from sometimes, because they've had to do things that the opportunities that we have and the things that we can do today with the freedom that we have, they just never had.
Yeah.
So I get the skepticism when somebody is like, I'm just going to do this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of that, then hopefully find out that, and now you're going to a whole new country doing something amazing. But they don't see it at the time.
No.
You know? So I get the worry and concern, because my mother was too, bookkeeper, dad electrician. Like, you need to go and study something objective where you earn a stable income.
Yeah.
And we are like freelancers essentially. And sometimes we don't know where our next check is coming from. Zoe, I believe you have a company of your own. Active wear? Is it athleisure? Do you have any other ventures happening at the moment besides that?
I think my active range was a big learning curve. I mean, it was really incredible to be able to say I own something, but I think I needed to do a little bit more research in terms of what my target audience really was. So I did start Zoe Brown Apparel alongside a group, two gentlemen called Gym Nerd. And it was something that I've always wanted to do. Whenever I go shopping for gym pants, I'm very particular about the fit and how it should feel. And that's kind of what we focused on, is creating a pair of pants that literally everything in without showing lines or dimples or anything. So that was a big thing. I've stopped production since. I think for me, I love color. And if you go to gym, you see people are not brave enough to wear bright colors.
Yeah,
but
at least blacks and whites.
Yeah, so at least the
I'm one of those people, blacks and whites. But yeah.
So I mean, at least that's something I probably should have looked into, because the whole point was I love biker shorts, couldn't find it in the stores, and that's why I wanted to create these gym shorts that were biker length. And I wanted bright colors because I love bright colors, and I think the market, you're competing with a lot. I mean, there are so many established local brands, and there's also, Shein and all these cheaper brands abroad that makes it very difficult for you to enter a market, because here I am a proudly made in Cape Town brand, but that means your costs are higher, your cost per item. So your product naturally becomes a little bit more expensive, and you can't compete with a Shein.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for me, I've learned a lot of lessons. It's something I would love to restart eventually. But yeah, I'm still optimistic that the world will eventually want to have more color in their wardrobe and not just black pants.
Yeah. I mean, I only wear black. I don't know why. I think, but maybe it's that thing about it, like, has that slimming effect, or maybe it's just a safe option. I don't know.
It is a safe option. It is a classic option. I do not judge people that love wearing black. I mean, all my long pants are black. It is very, it suits everything you have in your cupboard when it comes to shirts. I think black is just it's a great base. And then whatever top you decide to put on, it always works. And what is your workout routine like? Is it a mixture of various things, be it yoga, boxing, gym, the conventional gymming way? What do you do? I prefer shorter HIIT workouts. So I like to get the heart rate up, but I cannot do a workout for longer than 35, 40 minutes. That's pushing it for me.
That's all you need, really.
Yeah. So for me, an ideal workout is about 30 minutes. Just get the heart rate up, give it my all, and then that's when the happy, good endorphins kick in. Any longer and I'm just fatigued and I want to go home and take a nap.
And where do you go? Like, what do you do for that 35 minutes? Because I know there's all these options. Like, a lot of people do like the Sweat 1000, the switch classes, but that's an hour. What do you do to get that heart rate up?
I've got I found a program that worked for me. So her name is Stephanie. Her programs are called Train with Stephanie. And she has these 30 to 40 minute workouts, and I've just been doing her programs. I love her style of exercising. There are some days where I don't feel like doing a lot of jumpy stuff, like, you know, the jump squats and the jumping lunges, but you can modify it. You can make it to what your energy levels are. I think the last couple of weeks, it was very difficult for me to get into a bit of a workout routine. But I'm I feel like I'm always slowly getting back into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though. I think that's just like working out life in general. It's like every Monday starts like I'm starting again. Or if you take a few weeks off again, you feel like a beginner and you're starting off fresh. I think it's just like a mindset of like, keep showing up, right?
Yeah.
Just no matter what, just
being consistent.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of where I miss lockdown, because that's when I really got into my groove. There were no distractions. You weren't going out. You weren't meeting people for drinks or dinner.
Yeah.
There was a curfew. You were home. You were just by yourself. And it was just so much easier to stick to a routine.
Yeah.
And now it's tricky.
Yeah.
Now you have to, you know, you've got birthday parties and farewell parties, and you've got all these different things, and it makes it difficult.
And your show was running during COVID, right? I think the morning show kept going. You guys were like...
They kept going. I rejoined them in 2020, end of 2020, and radio kept going. We were seen as an essential service.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kept me sane, being able to leave the house every single day to go to radio and come back.
Yeah. Sweet. Awesome. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that you're leaving, and you're leaving like right after the elections. Is that something that you are still going to partake in before you leave? You're going to do it, or from here or from there?
No. I'll be able to vote here. Yeah. We purposefully booked our flights to go say goodbye to our parents, because both our parents live in Durban. So we leave on the 30th of May to go say goodbye to the parents, and then we've got about a week left in Cape Town, and then we go abroad.
Okay. Would you say that you're a little bit of a political person or not really? Some people say I'm not that political, but like I think whether we like it or not, somehow politics affects us.
It does.
So I think that's why, are you a firm believer in voting? Because a lot of our youth is like, we've kind of given up. I don't think we know who to vote for. We don't trust for anyone, and then we just decide to not vote at all.
I know. Well, I studied part of my international relations. Politics was my major.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it was very interesting to look at all the different manifestos. And the problem is, unfortunately, we have these brilliant parties with great ideas. It's the implementation that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's the people behind the policies. And, you know, that becomes frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you've got strong parties to vote for, but how they implement what they say they'll do is a different story.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the frustrating thing about voting. And I know a lot of youngsters, they have, fatigue when it comes to these things. And I'm hoping they will go to the polls and vote, because it really does make a difference.
Big time.
It makes a
Big
huge
time.
difference.
And I'm not going to get into who you're voting for and all of that, because I feel like it should be something it's a private thing, right? But for example, with the ANC, I've been making a lot of posts around like the ANC lately, and my what?
Nothing.
Okay. My only thing is this, like, it's not that I'm anti-ANC. I actually love the ANC very much, because I mean, they changed our lives back in, the early 90s. I was one of those kids on my dad's shoulders back then, like, when Mandela came out. And I think I would just like to see less of them going forward. Like, I'm not even going to like punt any other political party, but I just want less of a majority vote for the ANC, because it's not like, it's like sport, for example. Like, you watch your favorite rugby player out on the field and you're like, yeah, I love him. But then when he starts kicking crap or like doing stupid shit, you're like, put on fresh legs.
Yeah, get him off the field.
Get him off the field. Let him go and regroup. Let him come back in 4 years. That's all I'm saying from my point. Like, I love the ANC. I've always loved the ANC, but like, come on, like, their stats are low. Everything is not looking good for our country. I feel like put in fresh legs. Send in the bomb squad.
We need the bomb squad. Well, you listen, the only thing you can do is encourage people to do their own research. Don't believe everything you see on Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp. There's a lot of fake news, but if you type in the political parties that you are interested in, you look at their manifesto, you look for what they stand for, they've got websites. They've got their information there. And I think we've got so much information. How do you get
non-biased information though? Like, obviously, if you go to anybody's website, you're going to get the best side of them. How do you track their stats in a non-biased way?
I don't know if it's possible to do it in a non-biased way. I think you just need to have a pool of information. I personally prefer opinion pieces, and I like to read various different opinion pieces, because they always bring something to light I might not have recognized, or something I wouldn't have seen myself. But if you're just going to read opinion pieces based on a group of individuals that's pro one party, that will definitely skew your view. So definitely read all of it. And there's a lot of that available. There are incredible journalists out there. And I think we just need to keep looking at it. I mean, you see what South Africa is looking like. We know what it could be like. We see the beauty around us, especially here in Cape Town. I think, we need to be a little bit more serious about where we want our futures to go. You don't want more people to leave because of the direction things are going. We're not leaving because of that.
I was going to ask.
No, we're not leaving because of that. But we are leaving with the hopes of building a backup plan somewhere else.
Yeah, because I do feel like we lose our best people because of that. Because of the lack of opportunities, or because of the crime rates, or because of we lose, like, our best artists are not taken care of at home, so they go look elsewhere. So we lose our best artists, we lose our best engineers, whereas we should be retaining these people and bringing them back home, and because they are like the people that can make the most change in our country. So it's tricky. Zoe Brown, what next? I mean, you land in Australia. What's the first thing? Are you going to housewife it up for a little bit because your husband has an amazing job? There's nothing. What are you going to do?
So my visa is a little bit different to his. So for the first 3 months, legally, I'm not allowed to work.
Okay.
And then I'll be able to join the workforce. So I've got 3 months to play house. We are starting from scratch. The things we have sent.
And that's barely going to be like relaxation time. That's going to be like setting up a new home, unboxing.
I mean, I love those types of things. Okay. Give me a DIY project and I'm in my element. So I'm looking forward to putting furniture together. I'm going to make sure everything is flat packed so I get to put it together.
Yeah.
3 months sounds like a lot of time, but
it's not.
It's the perfect opportunity for me to, do a short course. Yes, there's going to be the whole setting up of a house and finding a place for us to stay. But I think for me, it's going to be a moment to breathe and figure out, okay, where do I see myself going? What do I see myself doing? What do I enjoy doing and I would like to do more of.
What do you think you would do, like in terms of short course? Because you mentioned that. Like, what would you go and study? Or
I was interested in doing a digital marketing course.
Cool.
And when I looked into it, I realized what I've naturally been doing through social media campaigns and on the show and, you know, being a presenter, you representing a client's product. I'm not going to learn much from that aspect. But something that I was interested in was data analysis. Because, you know, so often you do a campaign and the client asks you for the insights.
yeah,
And it's about understanding the insights and how you can use that to your benefit. So yeah, I think for me, a short course I'm interested in is understanding data better. And I think there's a market for it. And I've always loved numbers.
yeah. Coming back home potentially.
Oh,
in the near-
definitely. We have
Okay.
dreams of owning a house in Constantia, but you need to earn foreign currency for that.
Yeah, isn't it sad though? It annoys me so much. Like, we can't afford our own beautiful homes. Like,
I know.
every foreigner's buying up our best houses and best locations. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
we both dream of that beautiful house in Constantia. So we are going to live very modest lives. Of course, it's easier to travel on a stronger currency. So that's also something I'm looking forward to. I'll be closer to my sister and my nephew. They're also in Australia. She is in Queensland.
Okay.
So we will be a 2-hour flight away from each other. So I'm looking forward to just freedom. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to adventure. I'm looking forward to just saying yes to something that I wouldn't normally have said yes to.
Amazing. Well, Zoe, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having
so
me.
I could catch up with you. And yeah, before you go, cheers
Cheers
to
again.
new adventures. And
Cheers.
that's it for Zoe Brown, ladies and gents. Thanks again.